I am such an awesome guy. I make so many videos.
Hello there, Price of Reason here with a movie review. It's been a while since I've gone to a movie theater to see a non-comic book, non-sci-fi, non-franchise, standalone movie, but when I saw the trailer for the movie Air, it managed to pique my interest. The new movie, directed by Ben Affleck, tells the real-life story of how Michael Jordan was signed to sneaker company Nike in 1984, changing the company's fortunes while redefining how athlete-branded business deals were made up until that point. The main protagonist of the story is Matt Damon's Sonny Vaccaro, a basketball scout hired by Nike to help save their failing basketball division. With other sneaker companies like Adidas and Converse dominating the marketplace at that time, Sonny is eager to sign the third-draft pick Michael Jordan to Nike, who he believes is a once-in-a-generation talent. But signing Jordan seems like an impossible task. Jordan himself wants to sign with Adidas, and Nike's president, played by Ben Affleck, doesn't want to break the bank in order to sign him. Throughout the movie, Sonny has to get people on board with his vision, both within the Nike Corporation and within Jordan's family, specifically Jordan's mother, played by Viola Davis. As you know, by the end of the movie, Sonny succeeds in putting together a landmark business deal that makes everybody involved a ton of money and ultimately changes an entire industry. As usual, I will start with what I liked about this movie, then discuss what I didn't like, followed by a final verdict. Let's start with the good. Number 1, the writing. Converting a real-life story into a 2-hour movie is never easy. On the one hand, there's a lot of information that the movie has to deliver to the viewer in a relatively short amount of time. On the other hand, the movie also has to still tell a cohesive story with real characters, story beats, and stakes. In that sense, for the most part, I think that this movie succeeds overall. I wasn't familiar with screenwriter Alex Convery prior to this movie, and while I understand that Ben Affleck and Matt Damon did some uncredited rewrites behind the scenes, it seems like Convery is actually a competent writer. The movie's focus on the Sonny Vaccaro character is a smart one, as he comes off as somewhat of an underdog, trying to push an idea forward that everybody seems to dismiss. As you see him overcome hurdles and get people on board, you can't help but root for him. Another strong aspect of the story is the character of Michael Jordan's mother, Dolores. While she's not a part of this whole corporate scene, she wants to make sure her son gets a very specific type of business deal, even though it's considered unprecedented in his field. Dolores' interactions with Sonny are some of the best moments in this movie. But with all of my compliments about the writing, a movie like this, which is heavily based on conversations between characters, also needs good delivery and good directing, which brings me to my next points. Number 2, the cast. It's rare these days that I watch a movie and think to myself that the casting is perfect, but that's exactly the way I feel about Air. I've always considered Matt Damon a good actor, but I wouldn't say that he's right for every type of role. As Sonny, though, Damon really shines, and I would say that this is probably his best and most memorable lead performance since Good Will Hunting. As an actor, I've always felt that Ben Affleck has a somewhat limited range, but his role as Nike's president, Phil Knight, is probably his best performance in years as well, as the role is very well suited for him. Jason Bateman, Chris Tucker, Chris Messina, and Marlon Wayans all do very solid work in supporting roles, but for me, the MVP of this cast is Viola Davis as Michael Jordan's mom, Dolores. In behind-the-scenes interviews, Ben Affleck has said that while Michael Jordan wasn't involved in the production, Jordan himself said that he would only give the movie his blessing as long as Viola Davis played his mother. After watching the movie, I have to say that Michael Jordan was absolutely right, as I can't imagine any other actress today giving a better performance. Even with relatively limited screen time, every time Davis appears on screen, she gives this role the exact gravitas and dramatic weight that it needs. Without this, I think that the stakes in the movie wouldn't be as clear, and she really helps take the movie to another level. Number 3, the directing. Even though I haven't always rated Ben Affleck as an actor, I do think that over the years, he has proven that his strengths are actually behind the camera. As director, producer, and an uncredited writer on this movie, I think that Affleck does some of his best work to date. The movie is well-paced, well-directed, and well-produced. Affleck manages to present multiple moving parts within the story, but it never gets convoluted or difficult to follow. Every scene has a purpose within the overall story. The movie never drags in pacing, and it always feels competently made. While watching this movie, I couldn't help but feel that this is the type of movie we used to get from Hollywood. Well written, well acted, with thoughtful and mature storytelling. After watching the movie, I read that Ben Affleck said that this is exactly the type of film he was looking to make with Air, and if that was his ultimate goal, I would say that he definitely succeeded. Number 4. Retro feel. With the movie taking place in 1984, I think that it rather accurately gives a feel for that era. With the right visuals, the right clothing, and even the right music, you believe that it's taking place during that era, but it never feels overdone or gimmicky. I think that creating the right atmosphere is important for a movie like this, and I believe that this 80s aspect was well executed overall. Well, that was the good. Now let's talk about the bad. Honestly, I don't have much bad things to say about the movie, as I think it was a good movie, but if I had to point out a few things, it would be this. Number 1. Hidden Jordan. One of the creative choices in this movie is that you never see the face of the young actor playing a young Michael Jordan. You see clips from games with Jordan's image, but in scenes where he's actually present, you do not see his face. According to interviews, Ben Affleck felt that Michael Jordan is a larger-than-life icon, and having some kid play him would have been distracting and take away attention from the story itself. And while I somewhat agree with Affleck to an extent, not showing Jordan's face in and of itself could also be seen as somewhat of a distraction. All in all, though, it doesn't ruin the movie or anything, and it's not any type of deal breaker, at least not for me. The storytelling and performances more than compensate for this creative decision and make the movie worth watching. Number 2. Conveniences. As with almost every pick about a real-life event, a lot of information has to be delivered within a short amount of time, and sometimes, through economical storytelling, things are presented in a way that feels somewhat convenient. For example, there's one scene where Sonny has 2 televisions side by side, one where he's watching college clips of Michael Jordan, and one where he sees a commercial for Arthur Ashe's own tennis racket. During this scene, Sonny has a type of eureka moment where he decides he wants to do something similar with Nike and Michael Jordan. While the scene definitely works for storytelling and for dramatic effect, it does come off as extra convenient. And it's not the only instance in this movie where events unfold this way. Still, none of this takes away from the movie itself, and again, it's not any kind of deal breaker. It's really more of a minor observation that doesn't actually hurt the movie. Overall, I think that this is an enjoyable movie made for adults. If you like sports, business, 80s, and pop culture, there's probably something in this movie that you'll like. But honestly, even if you don't like Nike as a company, Jordan as an athlete, or even sports, there is a very interesting personal story here about a guy that wants to do something big, against all odds, and I think most people could relate to that. Perhaps due to the movie succeeding on a few different levels, it ends up being a classic-feeling Hollywood crowd pleaser that I think most people would probably enjoy. What did you think about the movie Air? Feel free to let me know in the comments, and if you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing to my channel and also clicking on that wonderful notification bell. Thanks for watching, my friends. Thank you, and good day.
I am such an awesome guy. I make so many videos. But I'm